So Bungie's latest reveal of Marathon has been a firebed of discussion over the weekend. This past Saturday, they did a reveal of the gameplay reveal, all that stuff, that like a fireside chat about the gameplay and the inspirations and all that. And the internet is abuzz all over the place because of it. People are either expressing optimism for the forthcoming game based off of what they saw or other things. And then you have a side of the conversation just as in the staunch opposite of that, expressing displeasure and disappointment about what they saw or for other reasons. Because of all that, this is going to be a hard one to predict. But the only thing that is commonality across both sides of this discussion is everyone seems to be frustrated one way or another when it comes to this reveal and the conversation around it. And let's get into why that is the case. With that said, before we do all that, what's up, people? It's your boy MM2K, Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, MM2K Gaming, back again with another episode of The Dosage. This is where we talk about the latest and greatest in video gaming news. And man, oh man, do we have a big one for you today. But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, rock those bells for notifications, please, so you know when we are dropping these doses. All right. So yeah, man, very interesting case indeed as far as what's going on with Marathon, how it was presented, how it was accepted. And I don't know if a lot of us expected exactly that, or if even Bungie expected the polarizing response to it. But let's do this. Let's go over the good, the bad, what I think is going to happen with this game, and then I'll give my final conclusions. So here goes the good. Here goes the good with Marathon. Bungie has a pedigree here and because of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. And if you guys follow this channel, you guys know that I am huge on Destiny 1. Like literally, I was the anti-father of the year when that game came out because I did not do the greatest job in tending to my children. Yeah, I'm a sick puppy. I'm actually laughing at that. I was up on that game all night. Me and our clan, we played every night for several hours. It was just horrible. I would not have won Father of the Year when Destiny came out. Destiny 2, so much. I got turned off by Destiny 2, but one thing that was undeniable is that the pedigree, that the gunplay, that's when you really like started hearing the word gunplay becoming a staple in the gaming community. The gunplay in Destiny was just fantastic. Bungie did a wonderful job on that. They created an environment that was welcoming to both single player, PvP and PvE. So that's really three groups that was being serviced: single player gamers, PvP gamers, and PvE gamers. Like, they hit a chord for all three. So they know how to attract people in this fashion, and they've done it in a way to where for a very long time now, Destiny series has become a staple within the gaming community, right? Another thing that Marathon potentially has in its favor is the art design. It has a very interesting robotic, digital robotic futuristic art design, kind of like a Lego digital futuristic meets Lego to a certain extent, right? Very interesting art design. They also had like this cinematic trailer that I think was done pretty well And a lot of people were saying that was the best of the showcase, right? But still, it was done well, and it opens the door for some potentiality of storytelling when it comes to this game, right? And I will say this, in regards to like PvP style shooters or whatever, this seems to be a little bit more robust as far as the PvE element in it, PvP type thing that's going on. Seems to be a little bit more robust than just a typical hero shooter, which this really isn't, but or a typical extraction shooter. Seems to have a little bit more going on in it. So those are the good. Those are the things that could potentially, help this thing see success. Here's the bad. This has an air of desperation, after all the changes. Why do I say that? Why am I using such a heavy word like desperation? Well, this game is transformed multiple times according to reports that we've heard. It's had numerous game directors on the sly, behind the scenes. They try to talk a little bit about that in the fireside chat that they had, but if it feels like, and again, this is just perception, I'm not saying this is true, but it feels like that in lieu of all of the crazy stuff that's been happening at Bungie, them being more and more absorbed into PlayStation or in Sony or SIE, because them not hitting certain milestones, the stuff with leadership and lawsuits, and then just the dismantling of Bungie as we know it, and them being absorbed into, I think the group is called the Center for Gaming Excellence, right? All this crazy stuff happening, it feels like that. And with Destiny, the aforementioned Destiny 2 falling off the map, like, oh my gosh, the engagement is as low as it's ever been. It feels like that. It feels desperate. It feels like a desperate attempt to create appeal, to an already oversaturated market. Right. And that leads me into the next part, which is, if you're trying to tap into that oversaturated market, you got to have something that looks inspiring. That's like your own twist on something that's really going to make the gameplay like stand out. And I'm here to tell you, from what we saw and what was explained, even though I did say it seemed like that, there's going to be some more robust options, the options don't sound or look inspiring. Don't look it. A lot of people peg this to like it sounds and looks, and I don't want to say mannerism, but looks and orchestration like an Apex clone. So, and there's nothing wrong with trying to tap into that market, but if you're going to tap into that market, that means you got to pull people from Apex. How are you going to do that? Here, while we're recording this, let's do something. Let's have a fun exercise. Let's take a look at Apex on Steam. Now, for some reason, here it goes right here. Let's do this just to show you what I mean. Apex killing it on Steam. This is something that Marathon's going to need to do. There are currently 167,000 people playing Apex Legends. Right? 167,000 people playing Apex Legends. What are you doing that's going to make people leave Apex Legends and play you? Because you're pulling these people from somewhere, right? You're pulling them from somewhere. Another problem here is that, okay, a lot of these games can not only pull people from other existing games, of the target demo that they have, but another thing that a game like Marathon is going to need, because it's new and other particulars we're going to get into, is you need to pull in people like me, at least in the beginning, to bolster numbers and give some validity to create some FOMO. You need to report the high numbers. Let's go back and look at Apex Legends. Let's look at Apex Legends. These numbers, like when it comes to a multiplayer like this, you need numbers like this. Let's look at Destiny 2. Let's do that. Let's see how far Destiny 2. Now, again, and to be fair, when it comes to Destiny, playing it through other means for a while was way more popular than playing it on Steam. Like, it just come to Steam. I forgot. I think that Bungie had its own player or whatever. Okay, so there's 21,000 people in Destiny right now on Steam. Let's see here. So let's take a look here. What was the player peak on Steam here? So it reached 316,000, and it did that like 2 years ago. Like, in order for a game like this to even have some legs, I would imagine you gotta see a concurrency of at least 300,000 in today's day and age. It's going to slip. It's going to fall. You know what I'm saying? It'll go under 100,000. It'll hit, but that first month or so, like, you got to hit at least, I would say 300,000. You got to do that. I don't even think 100,000 concurrent for a game like this that's meant to be played all the time, that needs people playing it continuously. You got to hit at least 300,000 for us to say, okay, this might have some legs. Are we going to get that from this game? I don't know. I don't see it. And that's the problem. And another thing is that it's going to be hard for you to hit those numbers because you're not presenting anything that's inspiring to people like me to create FOMO. The game, even though the art design is cool and different, the textures look too soft. Like they decided, it looks like they got some type of filter over the textures. Like, you can tell the textures are there, but they got some type of filter over the textures that they need to remove. Because I think what they've tried to do is they've tried to create something that is visually appealing to a vast array of gamers. And I guess they feel like creating a more Lego texturized Minecraft. That's what it looks like, a Minecraft filter. Adding like this Minecraft filter over the game, blocky Minecraft filter over the game, makes it more appealing. Maybe Minecraft is a little bit too hard, but it's in that direction. It's going to be making more appealing to, like my grandkids to play it, No, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. So here's my bets on what's going to happen with the game. It is a Bungie game. In Bungie gameplay, I think despite what we see, I think people are going to jump in the box and give this a try. And there might be some FOMO that'll help it, sustain itself or give it respectable numbers for maybe a year. I'm banking more around 6 months, right? And it might get some serious looks the first week out. It might keep a thumbtack on that. But after those 6 to 12 months at max, I think it's gonna. The way things seem now, it might fizzle. And here's the other thing that's crazy, which, again, the way that this series has been going. Might not happen, but it's releasing the same day as Borderlands 4. If Borderlands 4 shocks the heck out of all of us and it's actually a mind-blowing experience, I don't know how possible that's going to be because, you know, I think the AAA console and maybe some of the PC gamers are going to be disappointed because this thing is launching day and date, I believe, or close to launch on Switch 2, which means that there's parallel development there. And then that means that they had to build this around the Switch 2, which is a lot less capable. It's not even on par with the Series S. And if we were going to complain about the Series S holding gaming back, which I think Switch 2 is going to do for games that were parallel developed for, this is not a separate Switch version. This is a version that's across the board. So then, if you know, with all the platforms. So I don't know, you know, I mean, Switch 2 gamers, if that thing flies off the shelves, they might appreciate it, but I don't know if other console gamers are going to be wowed. But if they are, if Randy Pitchford and Gearbox surprises the heck out of us, and they are, and Borderlands 4 kills it, then everything that I said positive about what might happen, that ain't happening. This game is dead in the water. Why would it be dead in the water just because Borderlands 4 is doing well? Here's why. Here's my conclusion. Look, y'all, times are different. The stark contrast between those that engaged in multiplayer games versus single player games is more divided than ever. I hate doing this because he's not here, and I hate speaking for Cold Blooded. He can correct the record or update you guys in the comments or during our next show, which will be this Wednesday, by the way. You know, if I get anything wrong. But his habits are not the same. He'll play multiplayer games. He'll play Marvel Rivals and all this stuff, but his games are more focused on single player experiences right now because that, you know, as we get, here's a trend that I'm seeing across the board, even though I'm not really a multiplayer gamer. The more and more we get older, the less we're tolerable of a lot of these multiplayer experiences. The more we gravitate to the more single player experiences. And that's different from several years ago. And here's the trend. What's also different from several years ago is those multiplayer experiences are now free to play. Right? They're more free to play now. So if they're more free to play and you have a possibly $40, maybe $50 marathon that's going to be released, that's going to turn off the demographic that buys single player games. Because look, the multiplayer community, they're less prone to buy a game. They are willing to play their multiplayer games free to play, and then if the multiplayer experience is good, they'll make investments in it via loot packs or whatever the case may be. DLC, microtransactions, whatever you want to call it. They are less likely in 2025 to pay up front for a multiplayer experience. I know there's some PvE elements in this game, but still, there's no escaping the PvP elements in this game, the way it was explained. If I'm wrong, y'all correct me in the chat. Correct me in the comment section. So because of that dynamic, you are using a single player gamer strategy, or not necessarily a single player / co-op gamer strategy for a multiplayer / PvP type of affair. Helldivers 2, case in point. The reason why Helldivers 2 was so successful with a price point is because at its core, it's a single player / co-op experience. So at best, for an online experience, it's PvE. Single player gamers and PvE gamers, they're more in the same family set and more in the same lane versus PvP gamers. PvP gamers are in a different lane than co-op / single player gamers. Co-op and single player gamers, they have a habit more of buying a game up front because it has single player or very similar components. Like when I first played Helldivers and Cold Blood was watching me and he was laughing at me, you know, you got to first go through part of the mission by yourself. And you can play Helldivers 2 by yourself. It's going to be hard as nails, but you can do it. And in the worst case scenario, you grab a buddy and you play through it like a single player co-op experience. So you have a pricing structure that is more geared to a different demographic, but you have nothing that's part of the game that pulls in that demographic. And if Borderlands 4, a game that again fits into that single player / co-op experience, gives gamers what they're looking for with a price tag, those gamers are going to ignore your game and go there instead. And so then you don't get the numbers that you need, and that FOMO that you need created will not exist. Because I'm going to tell you, unless you hit some numbers, the multiplayer gamers are just going to be looking from the periphery and they're going to say, nope. It's a different day and age. Without that campaign / co-op, buy an isolated element in your game, if you're charging up front for it, it's going to fail more likely than not. And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. Feel free to come back after launch. And if everything several months later is completely different than this, to tell me, I don't care. But I'm telling you what I think. Without that element in it, while you're using that same pay structure, you're going to lose trying to attract others when that target demo is going to look from the periphery at first, see no FOMO or experience no FOMO, and just continue to play Apex or Marvel Rivals or whatever else the heck they're playing for free. Look, I think Sony and all of gaming needs to rethink their gaming strategy when it comes to games as a service. Their strategy is still stuck in 2017. And by all appearances, they're trapped in the maze trying to figure a way out. Time will tell. We will see, and I could be wrong. That's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Am I just bloviating, going over the top here? Is not Destiny? Is Marathon destined for success? Or do you see things the way I see it? Or is there another likely path forward for this title? Let us know in the comment section below. Like I always say, here's what I think. But if you did like what I had to say, check out the links below to follow us. And also, we're going to have a bigger discussion, not only around Marathon, but we're going to have a discussion around just gaming in general, or gamers becoming just poo-poo pirates, and I talk about some other things that are happening with me in this content creation space in our episode of NRO Talk Watch. If you want to be part of those discussions, you want to become a member, and we're going to show you how to access all that stuff. And you can become a member or access that content in various ways and actually get a discount in doing so. So let's go to how you can do that right now. Peace. What's up, people? I hope you're enjoying MM2K Gaming News content. You have a possibility to get access to even more great content, and I'm going to show you how very quickly. First and foremost, you're going to want to become a member. And you can become a member at two different levels. You can become a member at the shout out level, which is or $1.99 or $2 tier, and then you can become a member at what we call the Foamy Homie tier, which is at $3.99 or $4, depending upon where you join. So I'm gonna show you how you join on YouTube. All you got to do is simply go to join right here, and then you can pick one of the two tiers, the foamed up or the Foamy Homie tier. And again, the Foamy Homie tier will give you access to everything. Just simply click on that and join, and follow the instructions from there, and then you'll get access to our members' posts that we place over in the post section, where you'll get access to members' content Monday through Friday. All right. And then you'll get other access to streams and things like that. Now, if joining us over here is not your cup of tea, then you can become a Patreon member. Simply go look for MM2K Gaming News at Member Plus. And then what you can do is see the membership options over there. And again, we have two tiers. We have a tier 1 that's similar to the foamed up tier. We got another tier, tier 2 that's similar to the Foamy Homie tier. But here's the crazy thing: as you can see here, those prices are crossed out, and there's even cheaper prices. All through the month of April in 2025, we are giving people access on Patreon 50% off. So you can join us on Patreon, get 50% off your subscription, and get access to the same great stuff. Another thing that you can do, another awesome perk, is when you join our Discord, which is in the description below. Join our Discord. You'll also get notifications to when all of this member content goes live. You can go to our special members only notification rooms, and you'll get access to the content there. So multiple ways you can join us over at MM2K Gaming News, get access to all the great content Monday through Friday, on top of the stuff that you already enjoy. We thank you again so much for your support. And until next time, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.